Hello, Mandela class. Welcome to your Talk for Writing lesson for today. Your learning objective is, can I use pronouns to avoid repetition? Just to quickly go back over what we did yesterday, because some of you struggled to remember during the live chat today what adverbials of time and time connectives represent. You all knew it had something to do with when something is happening, but it also represents how often something is happening and how long something is happening for. So there are three things that it represents: when something's happening, how often something is happening, and how long it's happening for. And remember, adverbials of time are different to adverbs in general. Adverbs tell us when, where, or how, but adverbials of time don't tell us where or how. They just tell us when something's happening. So it's got to do with time. When something's happening, how often it's happening, and how long it's happening for. Today, as I said, we're going to use pronouns to avoid repetition. Now pause the video and have a think, or talk to your partner, your teddy bear, or whatever you've got at home, or you can just say it in your head. What is a noun? So if you remember, a noun is the name given to a thing, a place, or a person. So what is a pronoun? Who knows what a pronoun is? A pronoun is a word used to replace a noun. And we use pronouns to avoid repetition. So instead of repeating the same noun over and over again in a sentence or in a paragraph, instead we replace it with a word which is called a pronoun. For example, instead of repeating somebody's name or the name of a place or the name of an object, we say he, she, it, or they. We use pronouns so that we don't need to keep repeating the same nouns. For example, rather than repeat the noun the car in this sentence, we use a pronoun. And let's have a look at the sentence. So I want you to have a go at doing this yourself first. We took the car to the garage because the car needed fixing. Instead of using the car twice, we're going to use it at first in the beginning of the sentence to give some context to the sentence so the reader knows what we're talking about. We took the car to the garage because, what could we replace the second the car with? We took the car to the garage because it needed fixing. It wouldn't make sense if we used the pronoun in the beginning part of the sentence. We wouldn't really say we took it to the garage because the car needed fixing, because we want to give the reader some information about what we're talking about at first, and then the second time we repeat it, we can replace it with a pronoun. Okay. We use personal pronouns to refer to a particular person or thing. Now, there are 12 personal pronouns that we can use for people. Pause the video and have a go at reading these yourself, and then we'll read them together. So these are personal pronouns that we use for people. I, you, he, she, it, we, they, me, him, her, us, and them. There are 3 personal pronouns for things: they, them, and it. Okay. In this sentence, let's have a go at using pronouns. So once I've read the sentence, pause the video and think about which pronoun you can replace it with. Where is the repetition happening and how could we avoid that repetition? Tom went upstairs to the bedroom. Tom opened the door and Tom sat on the bed. So what's being repeated here? What noun is being repeated and what pronoun could we replace it with? So Tom is being repeated 3 times. Which ones do we want to replace with a pronoun? Well, we don't want to replace the first one with a pronoun because initially when the reader is reading the sentence, we want to let them know who we're talking about. So we're going to keep the first Tom the same. Tom went upstairs to the bedroom. He opened the door and he sat on the bed, as we can see here highlighted in blue. Tom went upstairs to the bedroom, he opened the door, and he sat on the bed. Now, if you feel like this sentence has too much repetition with he, you could also say, Tom went upstairs to the bedroom, he opened the door and sat on the bed. But the point of a pronoun is so we stop repeating the same noun over and over again. How about with this sentence? I want you to pause the video once I've read the sentence and think about how you could avoid repetition here. What is the noun in this sentence? Alina wrote in Alina's book. When Alina was finished, Alina put Alina's book away. If you can hear how much repetition there is in this sentence, it doesn't sound very nice to the reader when they're reading it. So, Alina wrote in Alina's book. When Alina was finished, Alina put Alina's book away. Can you think of which pronouns? Well, what's the noun in this sentence? The noun is Alina. Which pronoun could you replace this noun with? Pause the video and have a go at doing this sentence yourself, and then we'll do it together. So, what did you replace Alina with? Alina wrote in her book. When she was finished, she put her book away. Alina wrote in her book. I'm going to highlight the pronouns here. Wrote in her book. When she was finished, she put her book away, which sounds a lot better than the first sentence when we're constantly repeating the noun Alina. Okay, we're going to read this sentence together and then pause the video and have a go at doing this yourself. Ariana and Hafila love to paint. Flowers are Ariana and Hafila's favorite thing to paint because Ariana and Hafila think flowers are beautiful. Which are the nouns that are being repeated? Ariana and Hafila are being repeated throughout this paragraph. Can you pause the video and have a go at replacing them with pronouns to make the sentence flow better? Remember, we don't want to replace the first time the noun is being repeated because we want to give the reader some context as to what we're talking about or who we're talking about. Okay, pause the video and play it when you're ready. Ariana and Hafila love to paint. Flowers are their favorite thing to paint. We use their because we've got two people that we're talking about. Now, which of their would we replace it with? If you remember our trick, I'm still using the highlighter. I'll show you when I'll show you the sentence. So flowers are their favorite thing to paint because they think flowers are beautiful. Ariana and Hafila love to paint. Flowers are their favorite thing to paint. Okay, so to paint because they think flowers are beautiful. Now, is there another noun that's being repeated in this sentence? Have you noticed that also flowers are repeated twice? However, when we read the sentence, let's read it together and see whether we really do need to replace the flowers with another pronoun. Ariana and Hafila love to paint. Flowers are their favorite thing to paint because they think flowers are beautiful. We could also replace, if we were to replace the second flowers with they, I think it might make the sentence a bit confusing. Ariana and Hafila love to paint. Flowers are their favorite thing to paint because they think they are beautiful. It might make the meaning of the sentence a little bit confusing, and actually it doesn't sound too bad to have flowers repeated twice. So we're going to leave that the same. Okay, now it's your turn to choose the activity that's best suited for you. That doesn't mean the activity that you find the easiest, because if you find it easy, that means it's not the right activity for you. You need to challenge yourself. And I have reminded some children to make sure, I've reminded them on Tapestry to make sure they choose an activity that is a bit challenging for them so that they can manage, but also that presents them with a bit of challenge. So this is activity. So here you need to underline all of the pronouns in the sentences below. For a lot of you, if it's too much writing, for the ones who think this activity is best suited for you, you can number the sentences and just write down which pronoun you spot in the sentence. For a lot of you on Tapestry, I've said you must start with activity 2, so ignore activity 1. Activity 2 is to rewrite the sentences below using pronouns to avoid repetition. And the third activity is to rewrite the paragraph using pronouns to avoid repetition. For the children who are starting on activity 2, I do also expect you to challenge yourself a little bit with by having a go at activity 3. The children who start on activity 3, challenge yourself with the extension. The extension is to add some more sentences to this paragraph, ensuring you use pronouns to avoid repetition. Okay, and I look forward to seeing that you have challenged yourself in this activity. I look forward to seeing all of your work on Tapestry, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, Mandela class.